Good afternoon. Thank you for coming today to be updated on the investigation into a disruption that took place this weekend in Woolwich Township. Speaking today will be Chief Mark Kroll. Joining him are members of our operational support team. After the update is provided, members of the media are welcome to ask questions. I will now turn it over to Chief Kroll.
Thank you. Thanks for all for coming here this afternoon. And standing with me today is Superintendent Brenda Bond, who leads our Operational Support Division, and Staff Sergeant Jarrett Brown from our Emergency Response Team. The purpose of today's media availability is to provide clarity regarding the events of this past Saturday evening. On Saturday, February 24th, 2024 at 7 p.m., Waterloo Regional Police Service responded to a violent disruption that occurred in the area of Shawn Station Road and Victoria Street North in Woolwich Township, involving two conflicts within the Eritrean community. In addition to the information we've already provided, I want to walk you through the events in more detail. At approximately 3:50 p.m. on February 24th, our service received information that a planned event involving members of the Eritrean community was being held at a location in Dearborn Place in Waterloo. We were advised that upwards of 500 individuals would be attending to disrupt and protest the event. Officers attended the Dearborn Place location and encountered a large group of individuals outside the venue wearing light blue clothing and carrying flags and wooden sticks. It was determined that this was the wrong location of the planned event, and all individuals ultimately returned to their vehicles and left the area. At approximately 5:45 p.m., the same group attended a location near the Cambridge Centre Mall in Cambridge, where they sought to locate the correct address of the planned event. This was also determined to be the wrong location. At approximately 6:40 p.m., police further received information that the group was heading towards the Kitchener-Waterloo Croatian Club on Shawn Station Road in Woolwich Township. Information provided to police indicated that the situation would likely result in violence. At approximately 6:50 p.m., officers arrived at the KW Croatian Club and located individuals carrying wooden sticks, metal rods, and large rocks. Officers attempted to separate the conflicting groups, estimated to be 300 individuals in total. Our estimation is that 100 individuals attended this location and 200 were already at the site attending the scheduled event. The planned event was called Achievements of Women. Members of the arriving group blocked the roadway with their vehicles and disrupted attempts by police to peacefully intervene. Rocks were thrown between the two conflicting groups and directly at police officers. Numerous individuals were struck, and vehicles, including police cruisers, were damaged. Attempts were made by police to peacefully negotiate and de-escalate the violence. Numerous crowd control tactics were utilized by responding officers to separate the groups and resolve the conflict. With the assistance of the Ontario Provincial Police, officers shut down Victoria Street North, Shawn Station Road, to minimize the number of additional people attending the location. Despite the efforts to control access points of entry along the roadway, individuals continued to arrive on foot through the surrounding fields. Police had received information that several hundred individuals from surrounding communities were headed to Waterloo Region to join this conflict. Through concerted and systematic efforts, police peacefully cleared all individuals from this location, and area roads were reopened by 11 p.m. At this time, we are continuing to assess the injuries that were sustained and the damage to property. Our investigators are reviewing various sources of video evidence to identify those involved in all criminal violations that occurred. We encourage members of the public to assist us with these efforts, if possible, by contacting police directly or Crime Stoppers with any evidence or information in relation to this investigation. At this time, a 29-year-old male from Toronto has been charged with assault with a weapon. We anticipate additional charges will be laid as the investigation continues. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Region of Waterloo Paramedic Services and the Ontario Provincial Police who are on hand to provide assistance. So that is the factual overview of the events that unfolded on Saturday evening, and I'd like to provide some additional context as an important backdrop. This local incident mirrors similar conflicts that have occurred across Canada and around the world involving political discord within the Eritrean community. We would like to acknowledge that this local incident does not reflect the Eritrean community in general. Our service has been working diligently with members of the local Eritrean community to proactively navigate peaceful, lawful, and safe assembly and self-expression. We want to offer reassurance that this proactive work will continue, and that we are committed to building and maintaining a safe and strong Waterloo region with all valued community partners. We've been monitoring similar violent uprisings in Canadian cities, including Toronto, Calgary, and Edmonton, as well as globally in countries including Germany, Sweden, Israel, and the Netherlands. We want to be clear that we support the right to gather and the right to peacefully protest, but acts of violence and the threat of violence will not be tolerated in our community. We are firmly committed to upholding the vision of our police service, the notion that every individual in Waterloo Region is safe and feels safe. For the past number of years, our service has peacefully and safely managed a large number of public demonstrations, some of which included counter-protests. The incident on February 24th involved a dynamic and rapid mobilization of police resources in order to prevent the escalation of violence to those in attendance, to responding officers, and to the surrounding community. Resources that were deployed included members from our public safety team, traffic services unit, emergency response team, direct action response team, frontline patrol, and communications. I'm very proud of the bravery and professionalism shown by our dedicated members who all demonstrated their commitment to providing community safety for all. Thank you. We're now happy to answer any questions.
I can start. Justine with City News. I'm just wondering if you can say for sure, what was the event the protesters were targeting?
So the name of the event was called Achievements of Women. So this is a planned event, and at the time of the initial phases of our involvement, we were unaware of the precise location, as were those seeking to locate it.
And second question, I guess, how did you guys find out about the protesters coming?
So through the course of that day and that afternoon, we had various points of contact with members of the community that alerted us to their concerns about gathering, about people coming to this region from out of town, and the various locations where things might occur.
Do I get another question? I feel like
Sure. Go ahead. Thanks.
Yeah. Can you just say who the protesters were exactly?
So that's part of our investigation currently. Broadly, these were all members, to our belief, of the Eritrean community, both locally and from outside of our region. And so that is what we're conducting now, is that investigation to understand precisely who was involved, the nature of the conflict. And the context I provided illustrates that similar conflicts have occurred around the world, across Ontario, across Canada. And within this region, we've also been mediating some of the concerns of gatherings and the conflicts that might arise.
James with CBC. I'm just wondering, how do you work with this community to ensure that everyone within the community and outside the community feels safe?
So it's part of our ongoing efforts through our regular interactions with all community groups, community leaders, to build our relations in peace times, to ensure that we have those connection points and that we understand where people are celebrating conflicts, issues that they have on an ongoing basis, and to try and have ongoing dialogue so that people will funnel information to us so we can best assist them to navigate anything related to public safety in our region. That's our general approach. And in this example, it did bear fruit for us where we did have established contacts. We can always do better to foster those relationships, but that's part of our larger strategic plan to foster those connection points. And as I said, James, our work will continue. We're absolutely committed to working with anybody who is wanting to gather, to celebrate, to express themselves. We just want to ensure that's done in a safe manner, and we'll continue with those collaborative efforts.
I know paramedics were on the scene to treat people who were injured. Were there any officers injured and treated on the scene?
So I know officers were struck. There were no injuries to our officers that required any medical attention. Paramedic services did assist with injuries that occurred to those non-police individuals that were there. And we're continuing to investigate and evaluate injuries and damage that occurred. This was a very dynamic, and I would describe as a chaotic scene. There may have been people who were hurt that we're not aware of, that did not immediately present themselves to us. That location in the region is fairly dark, so given the immediate surroundings outside of the well-lit portions of that location, there may have been people that were hurt that we're unaware of, and we're continuing to work through those details.
When police arrived on the scene, how were the protesters, what was their reaction to the police response?
So this is an event, as I described, that took place over the course of several hours, several locations. And although I wasn't personally on scene, the two leaders behind me representing their teams have described that it was a very challenging interaction. that our efforts to disperse, to intervene in a peaceful way were not abided by at various points, and our efforts to stop people from coming into the area were ongoing in our efforts to actually quell the conflict and to prevent the further escalation of violence. I described that individuals were carrying wooden sticks, metal rods, and were throwing large rocks. And any one of the injuries sustained through the course of any of those weapons of opportunity could be catastrophic. And that is our grave concern, as we have seen these similar uprisings in other communities result in serious injury and potentially death as well.
Were these acts of violence, were they aimed at each other's groups, or were they aimed at the police, or how did that happen?
I would describe as the primary conflict was between the two different elements there. There was 100 that arrived to disrupt and to protest the event that was being held, and there was 200 within the hall that were there to hold a planned event and celebration. Our intervention was to keep the peace and to assist peaceful gathering, but ultimately they were in conflict with police. Very happily, I'm able to report that our best efforts to resolve it in a peaceful means were largely successful because of our continued dedication with working to negotiate as peacefully as possible. But I would describe this as a best case scenario. We have seen these types of events with that number of people, with that level of volatility that our members confronted. The level of continued escalation was possible here, and we believe may be possible in the future. And that's part of the efforts today, is to make all those aware of our concerns about this occurring again in our region and beyond.
How many OPP officers also assisted?
I don't know. We can provide that follow-up to you. Their role is primarily for road safety efforts, for them to assist with some of the traffic road closure, so we can provide that detail to you as well. We're very grateful for their assistance.
You said that this mirrors other incidents and that people were coming from other communities. Does that mean the people that carried this out also carried out other incidents, or is there at least a connection there? Or?
It's a question I'm not able to answer fully. So we can go by the information that was reported to us, is that we believe this was a point of interest and point of mobilization for people outside of our region who had come some distance to locate this incident and to disrupt and protest and to intervene in really a violent manner. So I'm unable to speak about the individuals here and their involvement in any other gatherings outside of our region. That will be the course of our investigation, and we'll continue to make best efforts, as we always do, to work with public safety partners across Ontario, across Canada, to share that information so that we can ensure we are supporting people who want to lawfully and peacefully gather, and those who are seeking to disrupt, those who are seeking to incite violence, are on our radar, and we can intervene in the best way possible.
I have one more question.
Sure.
As it's the second anniversary of the Ukraine war, can you say for sure that has nothing to do with the protest?
Thanks for your question. I do not believe that has any bearing on the incident that occurred on Saturday night. The timing of celebration and recognition of that anniversary was on the same day, but we have no information to say it was at all connected. Okay, thanks everyone. If anyone you have any questions, of any other nature, please follow up with Sherry Greeno, our Director of Corporate Affairs, for those details. We'll be happy to provide those to you. Thank you.